In this video, you will learn something called variables. Variables are super important in programming. A variable is like a container or a box that has a name. You can put different pieces of information like words or numbers inside this box. This way, when you need that information later in your program, you can use the name of the variable to ask for it. And PHP will give you what's inside. So variables help you store and use important stuff in your program. This is how it works. You begin every variable with a $sign. Then you give your variable a name. Let's call it favorite superhero. The name helps you remember what's inside the variable. Now, to put something into the variable, you use what's called an assignment operator. It's just a fancy way of saying put something in here. In PHP, we use the equal sign as an assignment operator. Then, right next to the equal sign, you place whatever you want to store in the variable. Let's store the Spider-Man string, which was my favorite superhero when I was a kid. Lastly, you end this statement with a semicolon. It's like saying, okay, the variable now has the value I want and I'm finished with this part. I'll do other things in my program. From now on, the variable holds the Spider-Man string. We can use this variable to do useful things with that value. For instance, we could display it using the echo command. If I write echo, a $sign, favorite superhero, semicolon, and run the script, I'll see Spider-Man, because that's what's inside that variable. The cool thing about variables is that they are flexible. You can change them, give them different values, and use them many times in your program. So if I later decide that Hulk is my new favorite superhero and assign it to the same variable, it will now hold Hulk. And if I echo it, it will show Hulk as the output. That's why we call it a variable. It can vary or change. But why bother? Why use variables instead of direct values? What are the benefits of using variables? Benefit 1. When you assign a value to a variable, from that moment, we can, for example, echo it like 5 times. Now, if I decide my favorite superhero is Hulk instead, I only need to change it in one place, where I defined the variable. But if I used everywhere the Spider-Man string directly, I'd have to make changes in all those places. Benefit 2. With variables, your code is easier to read and understand. If you just echo Spider-Man without using a variable, it's unclear to others what your intentions are in this code. Other developers who come across your code won't know if it's your favorite superhero, a movie title, or something else entirely. But when we use a variable with a clear name like this, other developers immediately understand that it's about your favorite superhero. This becomes especially crucial in larger programs with thousands of values, where without proper names, you'd feel as lost as a child in Amazon rainforest without a map. Benefit 3. Some tasks would be impossible to do without variables. For instance, keeping count like this. Let's discuss what names we can use for our variables. PHP has clear rules for that. Those rules are quite simple. You can start a variable with a letter or underscore. That letter can be lowercase or uppercase. Starting from the second character, you can use numbers. You cannot use any special characters. These variable names are perfectly valid. They cover most of the real-world scenarios of naming variables. These variable names are invalid because I forgot to use the $sign or started a variable name with a number or used special characters. This is a comment. Comments are just notes you leave in the code. They don't actually do anything when your program runs. You use them to help you and others to understand your code better. There are 2 main ways to write comments. The first way is to use 2 slashes. When you put 2 slashes in front of something in your code, everything after those 2 slashes on the same line becomes a comment. The second way to leave a comment is by using these symbols. Everything between them becomes a comment. This is handy when you want your comment to span multiple lines. So comments are like your own personal notepad in your code. They help you to explain things and make it easier for you and others to understand what's going on. To help you understand variables, here are a few things you can play with. Create your own variable to store your favorite superhero's name. Then use the echo command to display it in the browser. Next, create another variable to store your superhero's real name in it, like Peter Parker for Spider-Man. Again, use echo to display this name in the browser. Add comments to your code to explain what you are doing. You can add information like the name of the actor who played your superhero in the movie, the actor's current age. Try using two types of comments in your code. In the next video, you will learn how to mix PHP and HTML. This is a very powerful PHP feature. You will use it all the time to create great websites.